Greetings, my name is Mike Atkins. I am the program director for a program called Project H.E.I.P, which stands for Helping to Empower Incarcerated Young People. Project H.E.I.P, in conjunction with SNUG and University Medical Hospital, has put together a program designed to talk with incarcerated young people in regards to urban violence. As part of the program, I would like to introduce Dr. Fahd Ali, MD, Chief Surgeon with Upstate Medical University. Dr. Ali will share with you some of the experiences that he has encountered as part of the trauma unit with Upstate Medical University.
Hi, my name is Fahd Ali. I'm one of the trauma surgeons at Syracuse Upstate Medical University, where I've been for the last 3 years. During that time, I've seen a lot of victims of various trauma and trauma mechanisms come in. We've seen a lot of pain in our profession, and often I'm asked why I went into this profession, why I chose to become a trauma surgeon. It goes back to when I was in Brooklyn. I used to be a medical student at SUNY Downstate. And I remember one day, towards the end of my shift as a student, a trauma victim came in. He had been slashed open on his neck with a knife of some sort, and the blood was just pooling on the floor from all the major arteries and veins that were cut. It was congealing on the floor like jello. And there was one brave trauma surgeon who stepped forth, took the patient to the operating room, and saved their life. I thought at the time, wow, that's an awesome result. I wanted to be like that trauma surgeon. And over the course of the next decade that ensued, I continued to train and sharpen my skills and become the best surgeon I could be, a job which continues today. But there is a certain amount of sadness that's replaced that initial joy I once felt as a med student. You never really remember the successes you have, because you always remember the failures, the ones you couldn't save, the families of the ones you couldn't save, the lifeless faces that you experience. I'm hoping that as a medical professional, in conjunction with the community, we can make a difference going forth to stop recidivism and stop victims of trauma either becoming victims of trauma themselves or becoming perpetrators locked in a vicious cycle of violence. Programs in Rochester and Philadelphia have been quite effective. When I first got to Syracuse, I saw more penetrating trauma between knives and gunshots and bats than I had seen. I saw more of that in 1 month than I saw in an entire year when I did a fellowship in trauma and critical care in one of the downstate counties in New York State. It was actually quite astonishing just how bad it had gotten up in Syracuse. Over the last 3 years, I've seen victims of trauma come in. I've seen them die in front of me. Some have had long, horrible hospital courses where the humanity has been drained out of them, and they've become vegetables, dependent on ventilators, not able to eat or drink on their own. I've seen families destroyed. I've seen loved ones collapse in the hallway crying and knowing that their lives were changed forever. There's not much I can do at that point. Once the trauma has occurred, I can do my best, and my colleagues who work very hard as my partners, we can only do our best to attempt to save their lives. The moment to really intervene is before the accident, to bring back that feeling of empathy that people have often lost in our community, to stop the disregard for life that seems to become perpetuating on its own. and to treat each other as humans, and also to realize that there are real emotional and physical consequences to what happens. When I go home at the end of each night, or when I come in at 2 a.m., I know it's coming. I've usually had to come in for some victim of trauma. One of the hardest things I do is when I tell a family member that their loved one has died. Usually, if it's a victim of penetrating trauma, I have to change out of my scrubs or my clothes so they don't see the blood of their loved ones on me. And when I go, I know I changed that person's life forever. That loved one will never know that person again. I see invariably the response is always either complete shock and disbelief, or they usually collapse, or they cry out incomprehensibly, as one might expect. At the end of the day, like when I go home, I keep that to myself. I don't share it with my family. I usually give them a hug, but they know what's happened. They can read my eyes. I'm hoping that our community-based programs, in conjunction with healthcare professionals, can make a difference before these horrible things happen. It's up to us to clean things up, and we shouldn't leave it to others to take care of the problems that each community has.